videos are never bored. Streams are fun, super chaotic. You'll be back as it's all hypnotic. Come hang out, let's battle for Lord of the Boys. Hatcher's got the insights, he's got us all on board. In the world of magic, the gathering needs a master and a guide. So let's talk MTG and take the ride. For more fun, you better subscribe. You never won't miss the vibe. Scrolling through my feed, looking for a good time. Hatcher on YouTube, dropping truth and rhyme. Passion for magic, he's playing the cards right. Live stream so funny, keeping us up all night. Waking up early, smelling bacon in the air. Gotta start the day with a savory affair. Evening rolls around, time to chill and unwind. Tune in for chill streams where relaxation you'll find. Come hang out, let's battle for Lord of the Board. Hatcher's got the insights, he's got us all on board. In the world of magic, the gathering, he's a master and a guide. So let's talk MTG and take the ride. So let's talk MTG and take the ride. For more fun, you better subscribe. You never want to miss the vibe. Hatcher is the master of MTG. Oh, live streams and videos are never bored. Streams are fun, super chaotic. You'll be back as it's all hypnotic. Come hang out, let's battle for Lord of the Boys. Hatcher's got the insights, he's got us all on board. In the world of magic, the gathering needs a master and a guide. So let's talk MTG and take the ride. For more fun, you better subscribe. You never won't miss the vibe.
Always doing it sunny side up. It's the hen. Fuck. What's up, my friends? We are here to talk about Standard, all right? Magic the Gathering's format that once was the king and has fallen by the wayside. And Wizards is trying to revitalize it to a degree, but it's never going to be what it was. Oh, hold on. There is no Plinko, so let's get rid of that little, hold on. Whoop, there we go. There we go. There ain't no Plinko. It's right back there. So somehow I didn't notice that gigantic statement at the top of the screen. Anyways, first things first, I'm going to share the link in the Discord, and then we will proceed from there. All right. Let's see. Okay, there we go. That's good. And switch up the chat here. Okay, so what up, Jess, Gossett, Tarkus, Initial, Wheat, Pokachosen, Blep, Kensuke, Millmaster, Eng, Clayton, Heavy Metal, Gerthulu, Drumsticks, Yamagoro, Sum, Zircon, Farky, Larry, Shane. Who else do we got in here? Big, Superbacker, Shelton, Anthroplasm, Teferi, Fisher, Lamar, Peterson. Let's see who else we got in here. Ness, Hurst, John, Error, Andrew, Kim, DeVoe, Huckleberry. I think that I got everybody. Hello! Hello to anybody that I missed. How are you guys doing this evening? How has life been treating you? Hopefully good. Hopefully good. Well, I mean, I know not you, Heavy Metal, because you messaged me earlier telling me the bad times you got going on. But other than that, hope things are going well. Oh, what up, Connolly? What up, Sam Hain? Oh, you like that card of me? Yeah. Hell yeah, buddy. It's sweet. I'm finally in a card game that's pretty nice, and I love the artwork for it. It's pretty dope. The fact that I got to pick what card it was going to be, also awesome. So, today we are here to discuss the Standard situation. And Standard has been a part of Magic for a very long time, right? Standard was not a thing when I started playing Magic. They didn't have formats, really. They had just Magic the Gathering, and it had some really basic rules of you have to play only 4 ofs, and there's a restricted list, and that's it. That's it, right? So they invented Type 1 and Type 2, and Type 2 is what became Standard, and that is the format that was basically unchanged for decades. And Standard was the thing that they used to keep the game flowing, essentially, right? So, Big just cracked a cold one. Super excited to be in the chat. Hell yeah, buddy. Sam Hain, you're a bit biased as the cloak clasp is close to your heart. Yeah, who would have thought, as the guy who designed my logo, that you would have a preference for it, right? Isn't it wild how many years it's been since then, bro? Like, how many years ago was it that you designed my historian logo and background and everything? If you guys didn't know, Sam Hain is the one who's responsible for the creation of that goodness, right? So it's awesome. Let's be real. It's awesome. He did a great job. He knocked it out of the park. I have my own little painted representation of it. All the members get to have it in chat. So it's a big win. And you made that. Actually, the crazy thing is, didn't you make that during the brief period of time where I switched over from using the Magic Historian name into going with Mike Hatcher? And it just so happens that my initials and the Magic Historian actually work together. So it's just, oh, hey, okay then. You know, that worked out. That worked out. So yeah. That kind of sidetracked me, but that's fine. Obviously, that's how live formats work, man. Fisher, fast night at work and you got a sinus infection. Well, pro tip, man, don't let people stick the dicks in your nose. don't let people dick nose you, and you'll be all right, bro. You will be all right. So, anyhow, returning to Standard. right? Basically what happened is, for the longest time, Standard was the only format that Wizards truly cared about. The other formats, Wizards had this philosophy that Standard would be the standard entryway for new players, right? So what happens is, you getting into the game, play Standard. Pretty straightforward. Grab yourself a Standard deck and throw down with it, right? Like, or maybe, I mean, they didn't have Standard decks per se for you to pick up half the time, but Standard was where you would get brought into the game. And the philosophy went like this: if we design Standard properly and Standard isn't unbalanced and out of whack, then everything that flows from it won't be out of whack. For those of you who don't know, there was a time when Commander wasn't paid any attention by Wizards at all. Wizards did not print even Commander decks. The first Commander deck did not rear its head until 2011, right? So it's been about a decade or so since Wizards started actually making Commander decks. And before that, the format was actually called EDH. It was Elder Dragon Highlander, and Wizards of the Coast had a hands-off philosophy where they basically went, we don't worry about Commander because it's not a format that we are in control of. We didn't make it up. It's just something the judges are playing and some other people are getting in on, so we don't see any need to pay attention to it. And then they were like, you know what? We're going to make decks for Commander. Once a year, we'll make a set of 4 Commander decks. And that's when they came up with the name Commander, because they couldn't trademark EDH, right? So the Elder Dragon name was off the table. But ultimately, Wizards only made Commander decks once a year. And so Commander was, before 2011, Commander wasn't even on Wizards' radar. So for the first few decades of the game, Commander was completely ignored. And all the logic for other formats went like this. It's like, okay, so if we balance Standard properly, like if Standard is working and there's nothing too broken in that, then automatically it can't break Modern or other older formats, because Standard is the weakest format. And by weakest, I mean it only has the 2 newest years worth of stuff. That's how it worked back then. It only had the 2 newest years worth of stuff. And so you wouldn't have to worry that there was anything too crazy, right? It's like, okay, we've got the stuff in this format, and then Modern can occasionally pick or choose some card that it didn't break Standard, right? But it's actually useful enough for Modern. You can build a deck and toss this in or whatever. But literally, when it came to designing Standard sets, the concept went, we just need to balance it for Standard. It doesn't matter any other format. And anybody who wants to get in on the game can just jump in on Standard, right? So that's it. That it was really simple. And it worked mostly pretty well. Every once in a while, they would screw up and things would get unbalanced in Standard. Like, for example, the Mirrodin block was riddled with a bunch of crazy powerful artifacts and crazy nonsense. So you ended up with a scenario where, like, the Affinity deck was way too strong. So they had to go back but they rebalanced it. Like, this is going to sound crazy to anybody who's gotten into Magic now and is just like, everything is crazy powerful. But basically, what happened then was Wizards went, okay, Mirrodin is a really powerful block. So to try and balance Standard out, we're going to intentionally create a weaker block. So it's like, water down the power level. And that's how Kamigawa was born, right? So Kamigawa was intentionally less powerful than Mirrodin so that the overall power level of Standard would decrease. I mean, it still wasn't enough at that time because the Ravager Affinity stuff was just insane. It was just insane and did require bans, right? The artifact lands especially were not a wise choice. But in the old days, they went, oh, we made it too powerful, weaken it. But now every set they make is got to be as powerful or more powerful than previous sets. There's no balancing it, watering it down, keeping it at a relative power level. But for the longest time, they did that. And they didn't focus too heavily on reprints. They did do some They did do some reprint sets in the form of core sets and stuff like that, and then they experimented with switching it around to reprint sets being half new and half reprints and stuff. But it was like they didn't look at the reprints and go, okay, what's worth what on the secondary market, and how do we charge them more money for that? Like, current era full-on reprint sets are always more expensive than regular sets, which is absolutely wild and was not the case back in the day. Heavy Metal Super Chat says, Magic Historian gives a history of Standard. Aw hell, I'm sure Mill will best this, but I'm a person who leads by example. Well, I don't know why you think Millmaster would best this, buddy. You're Lord of the Board. You're Lord of the Board. But yeah, there have been some blips on the radar where Wizards did screw up and they did mess up Standard, but they knew that they had to balance Standard. And so the way that they handled reprints, the way they did the sets and everything, it created a... Hold on. I trimmed my nails and there's just the tiniest little bit sticking out at the edge. You know, it's maddening, right? It's maddening. It's one of those things. It's like when you got a problem with your tooth and you can't stop tonguing it. If I did not do that, I would constantly be getting distracted by it. So the human brain is ridiculously primitive in some ways. So anyways, what happens is you've got a situation where the secondary market is roughly organic. There's not like a lot of manipulation on Wizards' part. They were focused on Standard, and that was it. And things went well overall, right? Big, remembering the advice about trimming nails. That's a funny callback to a previous stream. Nicely done, buddy. So what happens is you end up with a Standard that's mostly balanced and mostly okay. Habanero, would I say power creep is as bad or worse than the days of Ravager Affinity? We'll get to that. That question will definitely be answered, all right? I mean, the short answer is it's absolutely worse now. Absolutely. Like, Mirrodin was broken, but unintentionally, right? That's the big difference. The intentionality is how I would describe the biggest shift when it comes to what they've been doing. So for the longest run, Standard was the main format and it was their main focus. If we can perfect Standard, then we give an easy on-ramp for people to get in. They'll start with Standard. Maybe they don't like the rotation. They'll move on to Modern, Legacy, Vintage. Wizards didn't even have Commander on their radar. They did not pay attention to Commander at all until 2011. And then for however many decks, Commander, what was it? I would say for about 5 to 6 years maybe, Wizards just made one set of Commander decks a year, and that was their nod to Commander. And the decks had like 30 or 40 rares in them too. So the Commander decks were actually really good value. Like, they were really, really good value. And like, just from a play perspective and the reprints, all of it. Like, for the singles that were in it, it was good. For the playing with it, it was cool. You know what I mean? Like, they made these decks and they were genuinely interesting. And then we moved into this new era future. Everything shifted when Chris Corkbag took over Wizards of the Coast, right? That's when we started to see some big shifts in overall philosophy. One of the big shifts that I hated the most is low quality stuff. Their philosophy was just like, if the card quality is bad, then who cares? Ship it to the players anyways. You know what I mean? Like, they stopped caring as much internally about anything other than how to bilk us for as much money as possible. So Hasbro gave Corks a mandate saying, yo, Corkbag, you ugly chimp. Here's what we need you to do. We need you to double the profits of Wizards of the Coast in 5 years. And Corkbag did it, all right? So he did that by hosing us. And the biggest shifts that we saw at the beginning of his employment was a decrease in card quality. That was one of the most noticeable things. Also, the beginning of the erosion of Magic's identity with things like Kaladesh, where we have helicopters and cars that would be driven by sheiks and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we had some fundamental big time deviations from what's like what Magic's normal flavor was. So I can forgive that. I could forgive the Kaladesh flavor and all that. I remember when I used to complain about Kaladesh, and compared to what we have now, Kaladesh is nothing. So we're moving into this new era of ridiculousness, which the new era really started with Throne of Eldraine, where they introduced us to the fact that they were now using fire design, which is supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to be like, wow, this is crazy. And it fundamentally changed how they build sets for Standard. So Standard was originally the doorway to Magic, and Standard's only concern was Standard. Now, all of a sudden, they went, okay, Standard sets need to affect Standard, Modern, Commander, maybe even Legacy and Vintage. They wanted the cards to be exciting and just get out there. They wanted to push their fingers into every format. This was before they came up with the full-on, like, Horizons into Modern mentality. Fisher's Super Chat says, best Standard, in my opinion, was Lorwyn and Alara era. Bro, I loved Lorwyn. I loved Lorwyn so much. So much. Alara was cool, but Lorwyn was awesome. Alara was when they brought in Mythics, right? And that's when we started to see things like Godsire and whatever. And Godsire is what I think that Mythics should be. That's what they told us Mythics were going to be. Mythics won't be really important cards for your deck. Mythics will be big, flashy, wow, things that noobs get excited about, but ultimately aren't, like, necessary for competitive decks. And people like Rosewater told us that they wouldn't make mythic rare lands and stuff like that you needed for your deck. And Jesper Meerfors actually came out, because he used to be the art director way, way back in the day. And he said, what they're doing with these mythic rares and stuff is exactly what we said we would never do back in the day, because it's skeezy. And sure enough, they changed that whole philosophy into mythic rares will be the cards you absolutely need. We want to make them the hardest to get. Thanks for the super chat, by the way, Fisher. You're Lord of the Board. So the whole oh, we won't make lands mythic, and now it's just like, oh, look at Cavern of Souls, mythic rare, right? Like, that's the era that what am I trying to say here? It shifted over. Originally, when they were giving us mythic rares, they weren't the craziest, most bonkers nonsense, but that inevitably changed into the mythic rares are obviously going to show up in tournament decks, because Wizards is a very greedy company. So returning to what I was talking about with the shift with the fire design, they succeeded in making cards that reached in other formats. Oko showed up in Vintage alongside Black Lotus. People were elking their Black Lotus. And the Oko thing, they were like, we didn't actually try to make it this strong. We totally didn't. It was by accident, which I kind of believe. I don't know. I mean, in this era, stuff happening by accident like it did with Nadu, I get that. That makes way more sense to me. But back then, it was more like, how could you not test this? But anyways, fire design totally set Magic on fire. There was a bunch of insane stuff in Throne of Eldraine, right? Look at Fires of Invention. I remember making a video saying Fires of Invention needs to be banned. And lo and behold, it did get banned, because Wizards of the Coast seems to resent the fact that the game has casting costs. But casting costs are the entire balancing mechanic. You can't just circumvent the balancing mechanic, or else, you end up with unbalanced nonsense. So that's how we ended up with Fires of Invention and whatever, because they're like, we just want it to be flashy and exciting and all this stuff, right? I don't even remember what all the letters of fire design's supposed to be, because all I can think of is it did set Magic on fire. 100% set it on fire. So that was the first step. That was the first step into truly insane town. where it's the fundamental point of Standard changed from being servicing Standard into servicing these other formats. And by necessity, trying to serve these other formats means the cards have to be more powerful, right? There's no way around that. If you want cards to make it into Modern, they have to be powerful. Too powerful for Standard. So this, by necessity, unbalances the Standard format. It makes it into an untenable creation. So you've got that. Fire was a really bad step in the wrong direction. And then you have the pandemic coming along. And the pandemic obviously really screwed up people's ability to go out and play Magic. They just couldn't do it. You couldn't get out there and play Magic, right? It wasn't possible. In most places, they straight up weren't even allowed to open their game stores. So the game store had to stay closed. People couldn't go out and play. And Wizards of the Coast capitalized on this in a way that is terrible for Standard. Now, I probably should have said at the beginning of this entire conversation, and I didn't, that we're talking about paper Standard, because Arena Standard will continue to exist. It will continue to exist, and a bunch of people will play it. When I talk about the fall of Standard in Magic, and that it's never going to recover, I mean in paper, okay? So when it comes to digital Magic, we're going to talk about that, obviously. I'm leading into it, but I just want to be clear that I'm not saying that nobody is playing Standard on Arena, because they are. And that actually factors into a big problem for paper Magic. Initial X coming in with the fat super chat. Bro, it says that this is your first super chat on a live stream. Is that literally on any live stream, or is it just on mine? Because it gets those notifications wrong all the time. Heavy Metal is still waiting to get a milestone. But I'm always curious when it says, the first one, I'm like, am I the first person you've ever super chatted on YouTube? Because there's an extra level of feel good that goes along with that. But you don't have to lie to me. If you've done it elsewhere, that's cool too. I'm not telling you not to support other people, but I'm just curious. Anyways, you're Lord of the Board. Thanks for the fatness. The super chat says, OG Innistrad I thought was the best for Standard. I like your videos, very entertaining. Well, thank you, buddy. I am glad that you enjoy my videos and find them very entertaining. You thought that Innistrad was the best for Standard. I'm going to be honest and say I can't actually pinpoint which Standard I consider to be the absolute best Standard. But I will agree with you that the original Innistrad was great. I very much enjoyed it. And there was other things going on in my life at that period of time too, where I have very fond memories of it. I've been in Magic the Gathering for a long time, so different portions of my life are categorized by different sets. Like, for example, the whole Zendikar block, that was when I was living in Toronto, and I have strong memories of that. Innistrad was when I came back to St. Catharines, and I met a really cool chick, and we played a ton of Magic together, and Innistrad was a lot of that. So that was you're making a very good choice. I can't say that it's the absolute best, but I'm with you that it's right up there, bro. It's right up there. And you've just set the bar so high for anybody else to try and take the board. Hey, it is your first. Well, thanks, buddy. Thanks for choosing me for your first super chat. And you know what? Since these live streams stay up now and don't get deleted, you're immortalized. Your first one is immortalized on this channel as well. So that's pretty sweet, man. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, exactly. Distinct, correct. It does feel good popping super chat cherries. It's amazing that people enjoy what I do to the point where they want to support it by joining the channel membership, by joining my Patreon, by super chatting me, by using my Amazon links, all of that. That's amazing just on its own. But when I'm the one who made them go, you know what? I like this. This is worth it to me. Bam, I'm going to do it. There's an extra level of feel good that comes along with it. So I like to appreciate that. I look for the positive. There's a bunch of negative that happens when it comes to this stuff too, right? So I like to focus on the positive, because sometimes things don't go so great. So focusing on the good stuff, having a good time, enjoying it, you know, and the live streams are my favorite. Let's be real. There's nothing better than the live streams. So, yeah, the original Innistrad block is a great choice for a standard set. It had Innistrad had a good flavor vibe. I liked all the stuff, and I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything that was like really egregious from the original Innistrad. That was a more pure time in Magic, I feel like. Everything pre-2016, 2017 is before things really started to get uglier, you know? Because 2017 is when Corks came in. 2019 is when the Eldraine stuff happened. And then we moved into the pandemic. And so Wizards of the Coast has Arena set up. And they are like crackheads. So they go, hey, what if we try and use this opportunity of the pandemic to get everybody on Arena? Because in their gasoline huffing madness, they went, yo, we're going to turn Arena into the premier way to play competitive Magic. That's where the Pro Tour is going to be. They stopped covering physical Pro Tours. They let the whole Pro Tour wither, where they were like, screw you. We don't want to pay for these tournaments. We don't want to do any of it. Go to hell. And then they were like, we're going to do it on Arena, and you will be the one. Oh, it's going to be amazing. They'll know your name. But it failed abysmally because Wizards didn't put the effort in. Also, they're arrogant dickheads who would like, they were once the king of card games, right? And so they still have that mentality like, yo, we're the king. But it's like when a king starts out and he's this big strapping Viking and it's like, oh, bro, you're so hot. Can I suck butter out of your belly button, man? Your abs are so hard. I feel like they're made of stone, bro. Right? But then the king sits on his throne and gets fatter and fatter and fatter. He's like, feed me. Execute anybody who looks at me the wrong way. I'm the best, but I do nothing to earn that merit anymore. You know what I mean? So that's Wizards of the Coast. They walked into Arena thinking like, we're the kings. And it's like, listen, you may be a big dog in the paper card world, but guess what? In the digital world, you're just another video game. So now you're not just competing with Pokemon and Yargamo and all them other games. Now you're competing with actual video games. And they were absolutely out of their depth, 100%. So they created a Pro Tour that nobody even knew how you could become a part of it. They just picked the people they wanted to be part of the Pro Tour. And were like, and people were like, how do we get on the Pro Tour? And they were just like, and ignored that. And then they're like, we're creating the Rivals League. That's how you get on the Pro Tour. How's that work? Oh, it's like 20 handpicked people. Are they picked based on Magic skill? Well, no. Like, we're picking this chick over here because she fits the right demographics that we want, right? She's hitting all these different diversity, our diversity initiatives. They thought that they had hit I forgot about this. They thought that they hit the gold mine, guys. They found a really nice looking chick. She's a fucking cutie, right? And she's bi or whatever. So it's like, oh, all right, sweet. So they bring her into the Rivals League. They didn't vet her at all, right? So people started to go, yo, Wizards, quick question. That chick that you added into the Rivals League, she hates gay guys and she's talking shit about mentally disabled babies. So what's going on? Right? Like they looked at the Pro Tour and they're like, there's too many dudes. This ain't good. So then they make the Rivals League and they jam a bunch of other people into it. And they're all like, you got to sign statements saying you won't say negative things about us or we can fine you. Right? Because Wizards loves that. Look at the new Magic Ambassadors program. You have to sign an NDA. They have you sign a non-disclosure agreement that they can sue you over, bro. Like, just to be a part of it. Which is wild. That is wild. So they thought Arena is going to be this massive, huge thing, right? And it's like, this is gonna be the be all end all and whatever. And like the way that Wizards was talking about it, you can forgive some people who thought that Wizards is like, they're just gonna try and get rid of paper and get everybody on digital. So they wanted everybody playing on Arena. So they turned to the game stores and they're like, gee, it'd be a real shame if you lost your WPN status because not enough people are coming to play in tournaments. We have a great idea. Why don't we do it like this? Everybody you get to come and play on Arena, you can get them to sign up for online tournaments, and then we'll count them towards your WPN stuff. So you wouldn't want to get kicked out of the WPN, would you? So then Wizards took all of the people onto Arena, where it's just like, hey, do you want to go down to the game store where you have to get dressed, theoretically shower? Let's not be saying that everybody does. Do you want to take your 400-pound body and go down to the game store where you're going to have to take all your stuff down there, spend hours in the game store, see some people you like, but other people you don't like, deal with all that? Or do you want to sit there with your cheesy stained dick hanging out, wearing nothing, just clicking, and not paying anything? And it's like, so Wizards got a bunch of people onto Arena, and we're like, yeah, we're doing it. But these crackheads thought that it was going to be like, oh no, they'll return to paper Magic and the regular buying levels as well. Like, you'll play Arena, but you'll also keep buying and playing paper. That's how it'll go. So Wizards thought that was going to happen, right? Wizards thought that was going to happen. And then came the complete shift where they just went, you know what? Forget Fire design. We're entering into Commander design, where everything is absolutely about Commander. So every set has to have stuff for Commander. Everything. So a standard set better have a bunch of Commander stuff in there because Commander's more important than Standard, to the point where Wizards shut off every way to get into Standard. They went, okay, you can't buy any decks. They used to have Challenger decks, right? There was a couple different variations of Challenger decks. Once upon a time, you could go into a game store, spend $30, and buy a deck that you could reasonably compete at F&M with. Would it be top tier? Absolutely not. But if you bought two of them and put them together, you'd have actually a pretty good deck. But one on its own was enough to play and not just get scrubbed out and lose all your games. You could compete. You could be a challenger, right? That, like, some of them had two fetch lands. You could buy a challenger deck that came with multiple fetch lands, have a couple verdant catacombs or whatever, right? At least one. Maybe I'm misremembering two. But you could buy decks for Standard that you could play with. So Wizards had products. Walk in, you could buy a Planeswalker deck. Oh, look at this. This will let you play Standard. You can buy a challenger deck. So you had multiple options as somebody new. I want to start playing Standard, right? So I want to start playing Standard, walk into the store, pick any of these decks, right? There you go. Do I think it's going to be the new way of playing Magic is on the computer and Pro Tour as well? No, Wizards has given up on Arena being anything to do with the Pro Tour. What happened with Arena is Wizards originally thought, we're going to be the king of esports. Based on what? You lazy idiots don't know what you're doing. We're going to be the king of esports, but we don't even have a separate client for our pro players to play on. And if you don't know what I mean by that, because you don't know anything about digital games and esports, every self-respecting company that has a digital game has the client for everybody to play on and has a competitive client, which only has the people in your big level tournaments playing on it. So you reduce the load that you have on people, and you can reset up matches that crash and fail. So Wizards had nothing like that. They did not have a separate client that the pro players would play on. They would play on the same buggy-ass client we all played on, and they had no way to restore crashed games and fix that crap for a pro-level esports. So Wizards got kicked in the dick over and over and realized, wait, why doesn't everybody think we're awesome? We've done nothing to earn it like we do with Magic cards now. Why are we being worshipped? And it's like, because you're lazy garbage now. That's why. So then Wizards went, well, we're going to be Hearthstone then. Fuck this, we're going to be Hearthstone. So Guess what? You know that fucking non-rotating format, Historic? Like, they created Historic, and they waited until the last minute to create Historic. Because when Arena first came out, everything was standard legal. Because the game had only been around for a couple years. So every set in there was standard. And when the first rotation was going to take stuff out of standard, Wizards finally went, okay, we'll make a format that doesn't rotate and you can use these cards in. But you have to pay double wild cards for it. And everyone went, what? Why? And they're like, because it'll be fun. That's what they said. They literally said, because it'll be fun. So I can't believe this shit. So yeah, they gave us Historic as a non-rotating format. And then when the Pro Tour thing failed, they went, we're changing stuff. We're shoving Alchemy into Historic. Fuck you. But it's just because we want to have the best format possible. And we'll never have to do another banning. It's all about just balancing cards. So we'll never have to do another banning. Flash forward to Grinning Ignis getting banned. And it's like, why are you banning Ignis? Okay, listen. The thing about Ignis is, it's part of a crazy combo, okay? And like, if we ban Ignis, it stops the combo. Oh, no, sorry. If we change Grinning Ignis, it stops the combo we're trying to stop. So to stop the combo we're trying to stop, we're banning Ignis. And it's just like, you pieces of shit. The only reason you're banning Ignis is because it's uncommon, and it costs you more money to have a programmer reprogram Ignis and make sure that it works than it costs you to give us uncommon wildcards that are worthless. So the entire reason they sold us Alchemy was a fucking lie, right? And so then they went, people like that caused them a huge load of problems. That's why they had to make a bunch of changes to Arena and change other events to offer gems and stuff, because tons of people abandoned the game. And they're like, all right, we'll give you a non-rotating format. What? Okay, all right, but it's going to take us 6 years to do it. And they still won't deliver on it by the end of that. They're just lying. They're just lying, hoping that people will forget and keep playing like with the Alchemy and nonsense. And they did skeezy crap where whenever you would load up the game, it would automatically default you to Alchemy every time so that you would get into Alchemy, and they could make new players think everybody's playing Alchemy and there's people to play against and all that stuff, when Alchemy it's a mixed bag. I could enjoy Alchemy more if Wizards didn't pull this shit when they shoved Alchemy onto us, right? Because the whole perpetual concept and certain things that you can't do with physical cards, you can do with Alchemy. That's actually neat. But unfortunately, the way that they did it was horrific. So Alchemy was just awful. Just awful, right? So anyways, what happens is Wizards has now brought all these people on for Standard, right? They're used to playing Standard on Arena. They're not going back to paper, especially since Wizards has ruined Standard by designing everything for Commander. Everything. Every set has to have Commander cards now, and a bunch of them. Thunder Junction had 50 legendaries in there. Not because it made sense for the set, because they were going ham for Commander, right? So they ended up just going over the top with fully focusing on Commander, making everything for Commander to the point where when you went into a game store and you said, I want to get into Standard, I'd like to get a deck. And the store owners would just be like, there's no such thing. I'd be like, what? What about all the 50 different decks you have up there? Those are all Commander decks. No. How about just the ones? Okay, look, they put out Kaldheim, right? Kaldheim is a Standard set. Correct. Okay, so I see a Kaldheim deck over there. Yeah, that's a Commander deck. What? Yeah, no, all the Standard sets have Commander decks with them. Okay, but what I want is just like a regular Standard deck. Like I heard that there might be like Planeswalker decks or something. No, it's not a thing anymore. They stopped making those years ago. They literally only sell Commander decks. You have to chase singles. You have to individually buy all the singles if you want to build a deck. So they created this massive barrier to getting into Standard. This massive barrier, especially for people who are already on Arena. Hi, Mr. Game Store owner. I want to build my own Standard deck. Okay? All right. Well, what do you play? I play black. I play Sheoldred. How many Sheoldreds do you need? 4. Okay. They're $90 each. What? Yeah, $90 each. So for those 4 cards in your deck, it's going to be about $400 once you put the taxes in. And it's like, I think I'll just play on Arena. That's okay. Forget it. So you've got a situation where they have no on-ramps to get you into Standard anymore. at all because they went, everything's Commander. Play Commander, dickhead. Like nobody stopped snorting fucking glue and whiteout for a second and go, wait, guys, wait, I just had a thought. Like, I'm just going to throw out some numbers here for you. So when somebody's going to start Magic and they go through Standard, they need to have one other person to play with, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, I get it, okay. And like Standard decks, you play like 4 ofs, right? And so, like, if somebody's just going 20 lands and 40 other cards, they're only playing 10 different cards. Am I right? So, like, and it's like, yeah, no, that makes sense. So, wait, what's going on here? Hold on, I gotta refresh this. There's something going on with the stream. There's something going on here. It looks like the stream's still going. I think it might just be my internet. Oh, great. Now I can't even see the live stream. What the hell is going on here? All right, let's just open up a new window and see what happens. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, guys. This is just being weird. Okay. There we go. All right, we're back. We're good. We're good. Heavy Metal, you're correct. I prefer super chats to human blood. All right, and you're still allowed to super chat just because Initial took the board doesn't mean you can't super chat, buddy. All right, so you've got it back to the crackheads at Wizards. So you've got basically 10 different cards in your deck. In a Standard deck, you have 10 different cards. And your opponent has 10 different cards. So a new player has to find one person and understand 20 different Magic cards to get in and play a bit of Standard. Okay, yeah, I follow you. So now with Commander, they have to find 3 more people to play, right? And it's like, yeah, okay. So you need to triple the amount of players you have to find. Uh-huh. And Commander decks have what? 35 lands and 65 non-land cards? Uh-huh. So 4 decks at 65 cards is 260 cards that people have to figure out and deal with? 260 cards versus 20 cards. 3 more people versus 1 more person. And this is how you expect everybody to be introduced. Don't they understand it's the most popular format? Play it. It's the only thing we pay attention to now. So they let Standard fall the hell apart. They had no decks available for it at all, right? And now they're trying to revitalize Standard, when before, Standard would be how you'd get in. Come out to a Friday Night Magic. Come on out and play. All right? You'll have some fun. We have open houses. Come out to open houses. You can get a little deck that you can play with. You can play in F&M. You can play in these low-level, not very competitive events. And then you can come in and guess what? We're going to have an ongoing Standard showdown from week to week to week to week. And we're going to have a game day in the middle of that, which is a big day. And then we're going to have a store championship at the end of a season. So reliably, we have events you can expect to play Standard in on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, week after week after week after week. Come in on Friday for Friday Night Magic. Come in on Saturday for the Saturday Standard Showdown. Like that kind of stuff. Every week you can be guaranteed at least 2 Standard events leading you through the process, getting you accustomed to it, playing with all the people at your LGS, all that kind of stuff, right? And they threw it all away. They threw it all away and went, no, it's Commander. Buy Commander decks and all this stuff. And they're already starting to reach the upper limits of what can be done from milking Commander, right? They've already said they have to start dialing back the amount of legendaries that they put in sets because it completely warps things, right? So you have a Standard that's not built to be Standard. It's built for Commander now. They don't even care about the stuff reaching out into Modern anymore because they're just like, whatever, we got a bunch of sets we print directly into Modern. So Standard's there to serve Commander, and the only other thing they can do to try and make people want the cards for Standard is to power creep the hell out of it. So we've got Like, they're trying now to rebuild the Pro Tour and whatever. They're never going to reach the same levels because they completely destroyed it. And they're trying to do the same thing now with a 3-year standard format that is inherently unbalanced because every set has to be more powerful than the last set. If the set doesn't make a big impact, we're never going back to that world. There's a real possibility that because Markov Manor sold so poorly, and it's hilarious how triggered people get by me calling it Markov Manor. There's a bunch of comments on my new video going, it's Karlov Manor! It's like, I'm going to call it Markov Manor forever, bro. And I do it intentionally, and I don't care. But there's a distinct possibility that Markov Manor means we're never going back to Ravnica. Because they're going to be like, well, that was set on Ravnica, and it didn't do well. Because Wizards has these insane metrics they use for determining this shit. So we might never go back to Ravnica. But either way, they have destroyed the original standard. It's been obliterated. And nothing they can do will ever fix it to what it was. Because they're trying to rebuild the same system, and it costs twice as much now. Magic costs twice as much as it did just a few years ago. Twice as much to buy boxes. Like, literally twice as much. Actually more than twice as much, which is absolutely insane. So the game is more unbalanced than ever. I can't see it ever coming back. Ever. No, Markov Manor is not the real name. It's Murder's at Karlov Manor. But Markov Manor rolls off the tongue easier. There was an official correspondence from Wizards of the Coast where they sent stores out emails mentioning it, where they accidentally called it Markov Manor. So that's the world. That's the world that we're living in, where they don't want to put the effort in. They don't want to put the effort into like balance fucking sets anymore. They want them to be absolutely busted. And I don't understand why they haven't grasped the fact that like they were totally thinking that they would still make crazy bank off of paper Magic and that people would still buy it like fiends. But it's not happening on the same level because the format's completely broken. Look at Duskmourn. Duskmourn brought along the red ley line that said you can just win on turn 2 now. Turn 2. Magic, like standard, is so fast. It's so fast now. The standard format is bonkers quick. Games weren't usually decided by like turn 2 or 3 back in the day, just so you guys know. And by back in the, I don't even mean that long ago. But now you can have lost your game on the second turn, and it's just like you're done. You're just done. And standard is only like 2 or 3 decks. And Wizards absolutely refuses to ban cards that are a problem unless they get to Oko levels, where they're absolutely everywhere. Wizards is like, we're not banning it as long as we can keep selling it. So let standard rot. And that's it. That's it. This whole over-reliance on Commander being the golden goose has irreparably damaged standard. There is no way they're ever going to bring it back to the same level that it was. It just won't happen. It won't happen. So now, standard is going to be a mainly arena format. Wizards changing, like, we're doing pro tours and other things. They're never going to have the same ecosystem, right? Standard had been going on for like 25 years before Wizards kicked it in the dick until it coughed up blood and died, right? Like that's what happened. They had it going for forever. And now they're trying to start it again. And they're like, hey guys, why do you think people aren't coming out to play standard? Geez, I don't know. Because you have no interest in balancing standard. You've doubled the price of everything. The card quality is awful. And you can play it on arena cheaper and easier. So why would anybody go to play standard? That's the real question. Why? And when everybody was playing standard, that's what you would play. Because that's what everybody's playing. And you want to play with everybody else. But now, nope. Go to the game store, it's Commander night. You got 10 times the amount of Commander players. I don't think any of the game stores in my city can even fire off an 8-man standard event anymore. I haven't heard of it happening. And when I go out to the stores to look and see how many people have showed up for Standard, the last time I was there, one person, right? And so they're bringing in foundations, which will help in a way, because at least they're going to have like starter deck and intro stuff now again, which they just discontinued for years. I cannot fathom why they thought that was a good idea, but they discontinued all the beginner stuff for years. And now they're bringing in foundations, but foundations will be expensive, right? And it's going to have power issues. There's no doubt about it. And they're making it standard legal for 5 years while giving it some kind of internal shift rotation or something. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. MG, you thought it was telling that Forsyth didn't push back against a single one of the dozens of reasons why Standard was dying the players responded to him with? Well, what can he say? No, you're wrong. How could he? What people are saying is right. It's like, why do you guys think Standard's dying? Because you absolutely stopped supporting it. 100%. You idiots. Like, if I wasn't already a Magic player and I didn't already have a Magic collection and everything, there's no way I'd spend a penny on it. I would just play the online version for free. For free. Right? That's it. I wouldn't put a penny into the paper game because it's poorly designed garbage and the card quality is abysmal. It's not what it used to be, bro. It is absolutely not what it used to be. So it's unfortunate. I was around before Standard even existed, and it was the de facto defining aspect of Magic that kept Magic healthy. It's part of what helped us have a reasonable secondary market too. But Wizards of the Coast now is just about short-term gains, knee-jerk reactions, quick decisions that aren't thought out that might get you a little bit of money in the short term, but absolutely decimate the long-term viability of the game. Hey, what up, DJ Longhair? How you doing? DJ Longhair, if you guys didn't know, is the one who put together my intro song, and he did a great job of it. A fantastic job. A lot of things about my channel are community-based. Sam Hain made my channel logo and background. You guys all coming together is what helps me do what I do. So I am very appreciative of all of the support that you guys provide me. It's fantastic. I'm very lucky to get to keep doing this. And I mean, it'd be pretty hard to get me to stop doing this, honestly. Even if everything fell apart to the point where I couldn't afford for this to be my job anymore, and I had to go and have a full-time job, I would still make videos and live stream. Although I would definitely prioritize live streams over videos 100%, because live streams are my absolute favorite. I enjoy the back and forth. And I know sometimes in these kind of streams where I'm talking about stuff, I don't read quite as many of your guys' comments because I've got a lot to say and I know I'll get derailed if I read them. But still, I very much appreciate the things you guys are saying and that you are here. Hey, WG101! Thanks for the super chat. It says, Wizards has a lot more problems than just making bad cards and breaking Standard. The game has had no integrity since the 2020 Don't Burn Down Our HQ bans, and a history of antagonism towards old school nerds since 2010s. Oh, I see that you are a man of learning, somebody who has some experience with the history of Magic the Gathering. That's not something that somebody who's new to the game is going to say. A little bit of Magic 101 for you there. All right, Winkler, have a good time, buddy. All those complaints about 6th edition rules changes. 6th edition actually caused a bunch of people to bounce out of the game. They drastically overhauled things, and it caused a lot of ill will. But you're absolutely right, Haribo, that compared to what we got going on now, you know? Nagel, I feel you, man. I feel you. There's a ton of people who were the 60 card 4-player style, or not 4-player style, 60 card deck, 4 copies of a card style. And it's a shame that Standard will never return to what it was. I fucking wish. I would love that. But Wizards has done too much damage. Their ultra focus on Commander means that They're going to be lucky if they can get standard back to half of what it was. And I'm guessing they won't even get there. But they will never, ever in a million years return standard to what it was. Their internal philosophy won't even fucking allow for it, right? Commander now is the prize jewel, and the only way for standard to be number one is if they make standard number one in their heart, and they will never, ever, ever do that. It's totally what we're dealing with right now with them scurrying around trying to fix standard is 100% how do we just get standard to back off of life support? That's it. That's it. They're not going, okay, Commander's going to go back to being something that's fed by standard. No, that's not going to happen. Especially, Wizards just got control of the fucking bannings and the rule set for Commander. And if you think, do you see them talking about how they're putting together big crews to fix standard and all this stuff? Fuck no. Absolutely not. So, standard will never be what it was, which is a fucking travesty. Because once upon a time, standard was the most important child in the Magic family. But now it's just Commander. Feed Commander all the cookies and smack the other kids in the face. Go get a paper route, Billy, and bring in money. You know, like. So now they're going to find ways using their newfound powers to force more rotation style stuff into Commander using the tiers. Oh, hey, the cards you guys like using, we just bumped them up to tier 4. But good news, we just printed these new cards that we consider tier 3 until you guys have all bought them all. And we know they're actually tier 4 cards power level wise. We'll move them up to tier 4 when we want to sell you more tier 3 stuff. Like, it's a sad reality. I would kill to be wrong about this. I would kill to be wrong about it, but I'm not. For all the people who want to tell me that I'm a fucking doommonger and a naysayer and whatever else, I have a pretty accurate view of what's going on with Magic the Gathering. And a bunch of predictions that I've made have absolutely borne out to be correct. So, looking at all the indicators, there's zero chance standard will ever return to its full-on glory because there's zero chance Wizards will alter their design philosophy to account for it. You know? It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Oh, Trout, sorry, man. Got bad news for you. Bad news for you. Standard is never going to come back to the levels that it was. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Best you can hope for is having game stores firing off standard events regularly. You might be able to get a fraction of what we had, but unfortunately, it will never return to the heights that it once was. Wizards of the Coast's current philosophy will not change into something that's better for standard ever. They begrudgingly went, oh, we got to do things about standard. And their first reaction to try and fix standard was to make it into a 3-year rotation, which makes it way harder to balance the format. And considering they have no intention of balancing the format properly, forget it. Forget it. The stuff is all, every standard set is going to have Commander cards in it. They're never going to turn around and go, okay, remove the Commander influence from this. Just take it out completely. And let's let standard be its own thing. And that's how we'll do it. It won't happen. It will not happen. They are absolutely obsessed with Commander. Everything is about Commander. And they just went, oh, buy standard sets, but buy these Commander decks. You know? It's insane. It's insane. Dezo, you think the 2000s compared to now, there's no way, man. There's no way, right? They like Wizards wasn't hardcore obsessed with secondary market values and trying to extract all the value, where they turned around and went, hey, what if we create secret layers and we undercut LGSs? We won't give them any option to get this and we'll screw them out of their single sales. There's all kinds of things that Wizards of the Coast has done to hose LGSs on top of hosing standard. It's ridiculous. Quesadilla, Commander will never be what it was as well. Correct. Commander will never be that oddball, we're playing goofy jank format ever again, because Wizards is just going to meat grinder craziness into it over and over. Now that the rules committee's out of the way, get ready for Commander Horizons, son. Instead of just reprint sets like Commander Masters, get ready for Commander Horizons, where they'll just be like, we're paying all this craziness for Commander. Maybe we'll shove it into Modern to screw you too, you know? Like... Habanero, do I believe that Magic the Gathering as a business within Wizards is going to die within a relatively current time, like 5 to 10 years? No. I don't think Magic is going to completely fucking collapse and die out. The player base rotates itself regularly, right? So a lot of players only play Magic for 1.5 to 2 years tops. So what they got into now will be considered the norm for them. And Wizards of the Coast will be able to continue to pull profits from the game. But this ever spiraling, increasing profits for Papa Hasbro ain't going to be a thing. And they are going to get more frenetic and desperate with their choices, which will do more damage to the game. So I don't think Magic is going to suffer a total collapse. I think that it's going to take a long time for Magic to have a complete collapse. The timeline is much longer. I don't see Magic like evaporating in the next 5 to 10 years. I do not. Thompson, how was my day? My day was pretty good. I went for a walk that was quite enjoyable. I went for like an hour-long walk today, racking up my steps, and I checked out some new places that I haven't been before, and I'm like, I gotta bring Carly to this place. The one place I found had some nice benches that give an absolutely gorgeous view of like the sunset and everything. And actually, I thought to myself, like, there's another location a ways over, and I'm like, this might actually be really cool to film in as the sun's setting, to be in shadows, holding up a staff with my wizard cloak like billowing out behind me. So yeah, my day has been pretty good overall, actually. Pretty solid. This month we got into, we're tracking our food again on the food tracking app and whatever, because we're both looking to lose some weight and to cut down on the amount of junk we're having. I was eating a lot of junk every evening, so we're cutting the junk down in a lead up to going out trick-or-treating at the end of the month, because Carly is really short and tiny, and people think that she's essentially, like, she's the size of a kid. So you slap a mask on her because she's tiny, and we can get a whole horde of candy. Plus, the dynamics of Halloween trick-or-treating have completely changed, where back in the day, people would be like, hey, you're an adult, or you're like an 18-year-old. You can't have no candy. Get out of here. But fewer and fewer kids are coming out trick-or-treating, as Halloween seems to be morphing into something else. So they're just grateful to see anybody, and they give you way more candy. I walk along, I'm like the dad. You know what I mean? Like, does your dad want some candy too? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I mean, you can put it in her bag if you want. But I just wander along to carry the load. I bring a cart or a backpack to see. We weigh it in pounds, bro. In pounds. So we're going out for a massive amount of candy this Halloween. It should be good times. It should be good times. Trout, why should we care about Wizards? Well, they're the one who make the cards. And like I said, people keep getting into the game like new rotations. So they need somebody to guide them in. Just how, like, the company that makes the game needs to be actively involved in guiding it. There was no way Magic will be as big as it is if it's run by a fan base and the stuff's not being produced anymore. You know what I mean? So yeah, free Candiac. Absolutely. Absolutely. When I met Carly, I was just like, yo, you're tiny. We can use you to go and get candy. Right? Because I used to like love blazing up. Right? And I'd just be like, let's eat the deliciousness. So I sent her out like, let's go trick-or-treating, or you go trick-or-treating. And I told her the glorious tales of Halloween's past where we were marauders. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you guys did it, but if we found a basket of candy, like take one basket's worth. We would just scoop it like greedy little pigs into our bags. Like, we were all about getting as much as you could. And she never did any of that. She never did any of that. She was always the polite, just take one candy. So I told her about that. And then she goes out trick-or-treating the one year by herself. She finds somebody with a bowl of candy. She comes back with the candy and the bowl. She's like, this is a really nice bowl. I'm like, this is a really nice bowl. Why did you steal whoever's bowl this is? You don't take the fucking bowl. You just take the candy. She's like, I like this. This is a really nice bowl. It's like, don't fucking steal people's bowls. The candy is free. The bowls aren't. I didn't tell you my stories of us being marauders for you to start up fucking stealing from people. I remember once there was this huge barrel of apples. A huge barrel of apples behind this person's house. So we have to walk all the way behind their house. And instead of finding a basket of candy, it's a barrel of apples. We kicked it over. I was fucking pissed. You gotta understand, man. As a kid, I was not allowed to have sugar, really, mostly, at all. Like, at all. My mom made me eat fucking rice cakes with peanut butter on them. Like, my dad worked on these shipping boats, and he would be home for like a month out of every 6 months. And when my dad was home, that meant we were allowed to have a bit of Lucky Charms or a bit of sugar candy, whatever. Not even a lot. But my mom, and you know what? She was right. She was right. I didn't turn into a little fat boy kid because of it. She made the right choices. But kids don't care about the right choices. They want what they want. And I wanted candy, bubblegum, and taffy. You know what I'm talking about? What's his name? MCP Pants. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? From Aqua Teen Hunger Force? So I wanted candy. And Halloween was 3 hours or 4 hours of, for the next number of hours, you have unlimited access to as much candy as you can get. So I would like run the entire time. Run. Like pillowcase. Let's go. Pillowcase too heavy. Drop it off on the parents' porch. Grab another pillowcase. Let's go. And I would get a ton of candy. And then I would sit there and sort it out into different categories. I'd have little sandwich bags full of gum and chocolate and chips. And like, there was the few places where you get a can of pop and you're like, whoa. Hey, Jester, that's right. We're going with my sweetheart Sandy. You get it. The sweet shop. Give me that candy. So yeah, I loved Halloween, like so much. Getting all the candy we could. So this kind of helps me relive it. And we're going to go a month without really buying much junk food. I might get a little, let's be real. But right now, I have a little left over from last month. I have not purchased any new junk food at all this month. Today, I resisted the temptation to buy a bag of potato chips. I wanted to get either all dressed with salt and vinegar chips, but I didn't. Instead, I have popped popcorn. And when the stream is over, I'm going to go and add Flavacol to it and have some nice popcorn. It'll be quite enjoyable. I'm looking forward to it. But I'm very pleased with myself for my restraint, you know? Using the app that helps you keep track of your calories, I'm doing great by today's standards. Apparently, I'm supposed to eat 2,500 calories a day to maintain my current weight, right? And so then the app is like, you want to have a little over 2,000, so you've got a deficit of about 500 to 600. But right now, I've only had 1,450 calories, and I don't even feel hungry. So I'm going to have some popcorn tonight. I don't know how much, it's probably only be a couple hundred calories. And I'll still have a deficit of like 800 calories. And if I keep that up, then that means like every 4 or 5 days, I'm going to drop a pound. And I only need to shave off like at most 20 pounds tops, and maybe not even that much. So this is going to be easy for me. It's way more challenging for Carly because she is much smaller than me, which means her caloric needs are much lower. So she doesn't get to eat as much as me. But yeah, keeping track of this stuff is working out, man. It's genuinely working out. MG, you dressed as Harry Potter when you were 9, and then your strict Christian neighbors refused to give you candy and scolded you for witchcraft. Well, you know what, buddy? I got a worse story. How about this? How about my fucking mom dressed me and my sister up as a warlock and a witch? So we both have witch hats on, We both have we both have like gray, like robe things on, but I just have a little curly mustache drawn on. And every motherfucker, everybody, oh, look at these witches. And I'm a little boy. I'm not a witch. I'm a warlock. I'm a boy. I'm a boy. I got so upset. And I was a witch for 3 fucking Halloweens, bro. 3 fucking Halloweens. So, suck on that, Harry Potter. All right? All right? I'm a warlock, Harry. Okay? Not a witch. 3 years. 3 years. Ugh. Heavy Metal, you got some local chicken, but it's not as good as Popeyes. I'm going to be real with you. When I go to Toronto, like in like 3 weeks or whatever, I ain't worried about counting calories at all. I'm going to have fried chicken. I'm going to have me some fried chicken. Big time. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, all of it. All of it. It's funny, Carly. The reason I gained so much weight, guys, and by so much weight, it's really a little weight compared to other people, but for me, it's so much weight. The reason I gained so much weight was because I was drinking like 800 calories worth of Barks and eating a bunch of junk food at the end of the day. So now that I'm not doing either of those, Carly puts down the plate of chicken in front of me today, and she's like, look, I know there's a lot of chicken here, and I know you eat like a bird, but you need to eat all of this chicken. Like, she's literally telling me I gotta eat all the chicken. Julian Sands used that little boy's flesh to fly when he laughed at him for being a male witch. I was a warlock, bro. I was a warlock, okay? So I feel his pain. Nagel, you are also limiting your calories. Well, good job, buddy. Good job. No problem, Juglum. Doomblade, one time you thought you were supposed to wear costumes to elementary school, so you showed up to school in a Ghostbusters costume with the whole inflatable proton pack and everything in it. It was embarrassing. One time I was in like grade 2 or whatever, and I went to school, and when I got to school, I realized I didn't put pants on. So I was wearing snow pants, and when I went to take them off, I realized I didn't have any pants on. So I had to leave school. Because I was just like, I'm not taking these snow pants off. I can't sit in here and cook in these, and the teacher's going to make me take them off. I literally had to go home. I had to go home and get pants because I forgot to fucking dress myself as a dumb little child. Oh, that just made me think of the sad bird story from grade 3. I tried to save... when I was in grade 3, I was walking to school one day, and I found a little bird that was laying on the pavement. I assumed it fell out of the tree or whatever, right? I found a little baby bird, and I'm like, hello, baby bird. You look like you're in trouble. And so I picked him up, and I put him in my pocket. And then I got to school, and he got out of my pocket. And he was hopping around on my shirt. Hop, 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 cheep, cheep, cheep. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you seem like you're doing okay. I'm helping this bird. I'm helping this bird. But you know what? He fell on the ground, so he's probably dirty. So I'm going to take him to the washroom and just give him a little rinse. I'm such a good boy. I'm going to go give him a little bath so he'll be okay. So I go into the washroom and I turn the water on, right? Just boop, flip the switch up for the water. And then I take the little baby bird and I put him under the water, and the force of the stream of water instantly snapped its neck in my fucking hands, and it died in my hands. I literally murdered that fucking bird. I watched its neck break, and I started fucking crying. I'm actually getting emotional now thinking about it. This shit traumatized me. I'm sorry, baby bird. I'm sorry. I tried. I fucking killed it, man. Right there. That shit fucked me up, bro. From that day forth, I never helped anybody. No. I've saved birds since then, actually. I found a bird being attacked by a cat, and I fucking, get out of here, cat! And I fucking saved the bird, and I took it to my friend's house. We put it in a box, and it ended up being okay. It ended up being okay, and we got it away. I protected it. And this old lady was like, you're the nice guy who saved the baby birds. And I was like, that's me. That's me. I'm a hero. So... Heavy Metal, we do our best. Yeah, my best was accidentally killing that poor bird. What a shitty day. What a shitty day for that bird. falls out of a tree, gets hurt. I come and save it, and then I'm like, let me clean you up. Crack! Ah! That's somebody riding away from the bad times of my story, you know? They're just like, ah, oh no. Oh no. Oh, man. Big, you dressed up as a bag of trash one year. Ezekiel, you started playing Paper Magic on Arena the last couple weeks. You wish you got into either Paper or Arena sooner. Well, you know what? That means you've actually got something good going on. You found something that you enjoy, so enjoy it, right? The best time in most people's magical life is when they start, right? So just lean into it, man. At least it's here. You can, and it can't be as upsetting to you what's happened to the game because you didn't know what it was like before. It's like Magic used to be this really hot, beautiful chick, right? And like she'd let you finger bang her under the bleachers. And now she's like fucking 62, has one tooth, and is fat and will cough all over your dick. But you don't know any different. Oh, she sucks. It's so good, buddy. She fucking runs that. She runs that one tooth right on the underside, bro. And I lose my mind. So you can enjoy the fat old skank that Magic has become. You know what I mean? Like, fucking live it, bro. Enjoy it. Who cares? Who gives a shit? In some ways, I'm envious of people who just came into Magic because they don't have to know. Wait, she wasn't always fat, old, and gross? Well, whatever. I'm a banger anyways. Thompson Wells Super Chat says, had a productive day working on my dissertation and looked at some grand archive cards. Hell yeah, buddy. I've turned you on to the archive goodness, son. Heavy Metal says, hey, wait, we can still super chat. You sure can, buddy. You have that power. The ability is within you. Financial transferings to the fucking the bird murderer are still on the menu. You're welcome, Big. I just introduced you to something you didn't even know what you. I'm like, I never knew that I wanted a chick to cough directly into my dick hole until today. Oh, man. Heavy Metal, I'm going to get on the board one way or another. Oh, gifting a membership. You figured it out. Oh, look at that. You gave a membership to Lucky Duck. What an appropriate name. That Lucky Duck now has a Magic Historian membership, which if you didn't know, when the Valkyries come down from Valhalla looking to bang people, they're totally going to hook up with my channel members. So that's a guarantee from me to you. If you're a channel member, you will have first choice when the Valkyries come down. They'll be like, oh, normally I'm interested in other things, but today I wish to wield your flesh spear. What up, Fajuk? How you doing, buddy? The Birderer hybrid. That name isn't. It doesn't have the same ring. It doesn't have the same ring as the Bad Murderer, right? Oh man, that's funny. You wish you could get banned by a Valkyrie? You will not be allowed into Valhalla. Dragon Raider, the water pressure was fine for human hands. It wasn't that bad. It was me. It was me. I ended that bird. DJ Longhair, you got a shield on Historian. Oh wait, this is the Hatcher channel. Fuck, never mind. I just said what you get for having a membership on Historian. On this, not only the Valkyries will bang people from the Hatcher channel first, and they'll give you a cookie and teach you how to play the xylophone with your fucking dick. Boom, 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 boom. I forgot what channel we were on. I forgot. I forgot. I mean, it should be pretty obvious considering it says gifted one Hatcher stream membership. So I failed the reading portion of this test, bro. DJ Longhair knows what's up. He's like, wait, what? Doesn't even make sense. Do you know where you are? The answer is no. No, I do not. No, I do not. Oh, man. Yeah, in a little over 3 weeks, it's the Grand Archive Championships. Gotta look at other games, apparently, if you want to play one-on-one Magic, since Wizards of the Coast is so laser-focused on Commander, right? That's part of the reason I think Lorcana has made, like, as many inroads as they have, is because Wizards of the Coast is neglecting the one-on-one environment where they just decided Commander's the format that most people play, so we'll focus totally on that. And it's just like, okay, so you're just going to ignore the other formats? Yeah, but you still need to buy the stuff and play them. And it's like, no. What do you mean no? That's not an option. We didn't factor that into our financial forecasts, bro. So buy it, dickhead. You know? Oh, it's a shame, man. It's a shame. Once upon a time, Standard was the most important thing to Wizards of the Coast. And the reality is Commander grew just fine. 100%. Commander was doing just fine without Wizards turning their greedy little goblin gaze on it. But now they have, and they've done it in such a way that it's damaged every other fucking format. Everything is warped. You can't deny it. Standard's been fucked by Commander design. Modern just got hosed super hard. Literally a throwaway card for Commander that they just changed at the last second and were like, meh, we're not even going to test it. Fundamentally broke Modern. And then just ended up getting banned in Commander anyways. Haribo, Hasbro sucking is making Magic worse. You're absolutely right, buddy. You're absolutely right. Concrete Standard is already a scare for people because of rotation. Yeah, and then a new set every 7 weeks on top of it. It's too much. It is too much. Dragon Raider One Piece is where you went for the one-on-one action? Well, that's understandable. So yeah, everything's been ruined by this focus on Commander, including Commander itself. The level of power creep in Commander has been so insane that the Commander Committee finally needed to do something about it, and then the fallout from it made them all quit. They're like, we're done. We're done. Wizards, you handle this. And Wizards is like, we reluctantly accept this thing that we had been secretly plotting to try and figure out how to take from you anyhow. You know? 100%. 100%. What are welcome decks? These are welcome decks. There are 40 card decks meant for beginners that have a few rares in them, have simplified concepts. I opened these 3 in yesterday's live stream, which is available on this channel. So when we're done here, feel free to go and watch it if you want to. And you can see the contents. We went through them card by card and talked about all the different things. We have not done the green and red ones yet, so those will be done in a future stream. Heavy metal, it's all about bannings. What's going on, bro? What's going on? Your subconscious is messing you up. Standard needs to go back to the block format. I liked the block format, right? But Wizards likes to go, well, it's all the third set always did poorly. And when we got rid of the third set, the second set had the same problem. And then it's just like, now we just make random individual sets that do poorly. That's right, Dudley. Fire design is terrible for every format, but especially for standard. You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. Split Second, is that a movie, DJ Longhair? Bring back portal sets for beginners. Foundations. Foundations is going to be the Foundations is going to be the equivalent of the portal stuff. It's going to be the beginner onboarding. They're going to have starter decks. They're going to have like collection building kits that you can buy, all that kind of stuff, right? So, oh, you don't know what blocks are? Block formats are one big set followed by two smaller sets, all set in the same world with mechanics that play off each other and carry through. So the themes introduced in the first one will be carried on to the second set. The stuff introduced in the second set and stuff from the first set go into the third set, and they all form part of an ongoing story that covers the world. So it was useful on a number of levels. Fisher's membership message says, do you think Shivan Dragon will still be a rare in Foundations? I don't think that Shivan Dragon will even be in it, honestly. You know? I don't think so. Hey, Nathan, what's up, buddy? His membership message says, evening, perp. Evening to you, bro. So yeah, Sarah Angel is in these decks, but that's just an uncommon, you know? They made Sarah a rare for 7th edition because they were like, she's so powerful or whatever, but in today's world, the Sarah Angel is nothing. She doesn't even move the needle, right? It's a weird situation that we're in. Blocks, yeah, blocks were good for standard. Absolutely. Absolutely. And they made for better drafts and stuff because you weren't just drafting the set with itself. You draft 3 different sets together, right? So that was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. Haribo, you quit paper due to fire design? Not unreasonable. Nathan, 2 seems so shiny, hopeful and new. Yeah, well, I mean, this live stream channel hasn't been around for that long, so it takes longer to age your memberships, right? Something tells you Shivan Dragon will be downgraded to uncommon eventually. It's not unreasonable to think, right? I mean, who knows if they'll have some other dragon they consider to be the important dragon, but like for uncommon level, because right now you get like 2 red and 4 for a 4/4 flyer with haste, but Shivan Dragon's only 5/5, right? And the fire breathing, so Trout, do I like Secret Lair? Some of them. Yeah, I don't like what it's done to game stores, but I do like some of the concepts of Secret Lairs for sure. You know? Monty Python one's dope. Like, there's a bunch that are cool, and a bunch I don't care about. Heavy Metal! Welcome back to being a channel member. You are now wild once again. You are a wild boy! So yeah, I like some of the Secret Lairs. Personally, that's where I like Universe Beyond stuff to be. But Wizards of the Coast has decided that there's more money in that. So we're going to get full-on Marvel sets and everything else that are not Secret Lairs and are actual full-on sets. Some of which will be standard releases, I believe, too. So they really are obliterating Magic's identity, you know? They're just turning into a melange of what the hell ever. That's the reality. That's the reality. And that's not going to change. Doesn't matter how much people like me don't like it. They've decided that's the direction they're going, and they're going to be doing it for years. Shivan Dragon was an iconic card. It was a big deal when we started back in like the fucking early 90s. It was a scary card back then. Now, there's it's nothing compared to the stuff that exists. Habanero, your girlfriend got you a Dustmorn pack the other night as a gift. You got a card that had the mechanic Manifest Dread, but it didn't explain the mechanic. Some cards do, but yeah, it depends on the card. It doesn't. You just look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one face down as a 2/2, the other in your graveyard, and you can turn the 2/2 face up if it's a creature for its mana cost. And the pack had no other cards with Manifest Dread. That sucks. That sucks. How can Marvel and a fantasy world mesh? They can't. They can't. That's why they'll call it Universes Beyond, just so that, like, it doesn't fit into the main world. It doesn't count as something in the main world, but it is a standard set. So what are you going to do, right? It is what it is. It is what it is. I don't like that they're doing it as the main thing, but like I said, it's not going to change nothing. Final Fantasy as well. I like Final Fantasy. You know, I would have liked it better as a Secret Lair. I like Final Fantasy. So I've reached the point where, I mean, if you want to enjoy Magic and keep playing with the cards, you're going to have to deal with this stuff. And I still enjoy playing Magic. So just because they've diminished the flavor doesn't mean that the gameplay doesn't still appeal to me. I haven't reached the point where I'm like, I don't care about Magic. I don't want anything to do with it. Jess's Super Chat says, getting sleeves for my proxy deck tomorrow. Fuck Wizards. Nice. More and more people are turning to proxies, and understandably so. Wizards of the Coast doesn't put the care or effort into designing sets. They don't put the care and effort into the card quality. They want you to pay exorbitant prices, all of it. So more and more people are turning to proxies. So yeah, things are going to get crazier. Now that Wizards is in charge of Commander in totality, things are going to get crazier. But it's going to take time to see that, because all of the stuff they've designed for the next year and a half was without the current situation. So wait like a year and a half or so, and things are going to get nuttier. We'll really see then whether Wizards is given any more priority to Standard, or if they're just amping up Commander insanity. Oh yeah, Habanero, they definitely don't. They definitely don't. There's like 20% less commons than there used to be. And commons are where you would find introductions to mechanics, because it would be the only mechanic on a card, so they'd have room to explain it all. But now all the cards have to do a bunch of stuff because they have to have an impact on Commander, and they have to be more powerful than previous Standard sets, which were already powerful because of the way they're doing things. Larry, I don't know, man. Final Fantasy isn't all high fantasy, right? They've got like Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII. I'm Soldier in the techno world, so it doesn't. Certain Final Fantasy worlds can mesh better into Magic, but overall, Final Fantasy is almost as wonky as Admin Marvel. It really is. Lord of the Rings was probably the best Universe Beyond fit that we will ever get, because it's straight up old school swords and sorcery style stuff with no real high tech anything, right? And I think that's part of the reason that Lord of the Rings ended up selling as well as it did, on top of obviously the chase for the One Ring, which did push a lot of hype. It pushed a lot of hype. But my friends, it's time to wrap it up. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We'll do a live stream tomorrow over on my other channel. We'll make it a wheel stream tomorrow night, so we'll have a really good time. Hey, Habanero Super Chat says, I would like to use this message as a public service announcement to inform everyone that Cube format is the best format. You're all welcome. He is right. Cube is the absolute best. I took my Cube with me to the Command Fest in Toronto, and the people I played it with absolutely loved it. Understandably so. They thought it was fantastic, you know? Oh, WG Super Chat. Well, obviously I can't leave until I read this shit. You guys are just you're just gonna trap me here with a chain of Super Chats. I'm okay with that. WG101 says, the worst thing about Universes Beyond is when Wizards disrespects the IP because the creator is dead. Lord of the Rings adaptation was atrocious. Had to take a year-long break from the game due to the disrespect to Tolkien. The stuff they did with Lord of the Rings was wild, and it got a lot of people riled up. But I don't know if the blame can be laid at Wizards' feet for that, or actually the owners who took over Lord of the Rings, because the show also had similar problems as far as I understand it, right? So if they're the ones telling Wizards what to do and what they want out of it, and Wizards is just rolling with it, then that actually puts more blame on the Lord of the Rings people. But at the end of the day, I feel what you're saying, bro. And it definitely caused a like a big reaction. It definitely caused a lot of bad feels, and a bunch of people bounced out, right? It caused a lot of arguments and stuff in the community too. It was a very fractious thing in one way, right? So I don't 100% know ultimately what the underlying, like, who really was spearheading what was going on, you know? I don't know. Either way, like I said, it's time to bounce. We'll get back together tomorrow over on The Historian. Thanks for coming, my friends. Safe travels, and I will be with you again soon. Peace the